All right, Derek. So you took your business from 1 million to 3 million in 18 months. Today, I'd love to learn about some of the things that you attribute that to, and then just have conversations about the businesses. You and I know each other for a long time, so we can have some good conversations about just the processes of business, the marketing, like everything that goes into trying to make this work, right? So let's start with that 1 to 3 million.
Yeah, well, first, awesome. Thanks for having me here. It's not easy. I wish I could say, "Hey, here's this one magic silver bullet," right? And I'm sure anybody would watching this and be like, "Yeah, tell me that one thing," right?
Yeah,
And as you know, in business, like there's not one thing. There's a lot of things that you do.
yeah,
Um, I think, one, we're an IT company, right? So you think, okay, IT companies, they focus on IT, everything. Well, yeah, that's what we have to do. We have to deliver service. But as business owners, if we want to grow, we got to focus on sales and marketing, right? You're a marketer, you know that, right? And that's really what we did. So we've always been focused on sales and marketing, but we finally found a groove in how to market our message, what avenues to use, put the systems in place of how to capture leads appropriately, follow through with them, and then deliver an engaging sales presentation that sells so we can convert. And you got to have that sales and marketing system working together in order to achieve those results. And if you're not putting that effort out there, then you're not going to get there. And so some like the channels that we do is like just like services you offer, right? Like we looked at our SEO. We do heavy in AdWords, right? Like
yeah.
couple thousand grand a month in
Several
AdWords.
thousand.
Like
Yeah,
our big thing is inbound leads, right? Like drive them to us.
yeah.
And then from there, it's how do we communicate with them? How do we, engage and show our value? Take that to be able to understand what they need and then deliver a solution. Like so, it all really came out of the heels of COVID, right? So, you know, if I'll back up a little bit, so the business took a lull right before that, right?
Before COVID.
Right, yeah, and before we had that tremendous growth, um, and I had a business partner. He and I split, and when he split, the clients that had a relationship with him left,
Hmm.
and it was, 2-year period where we kind of dipped and were flat for a little bit. It was the only time, in the history of my company that we didn't have growth.
Oh, really?
And so, coming out of that, like that was right before COVID. So I hit 2020 just like amped up and ready to go. Like,
Yeah.
I'm putting that behind me. It's time to grow, right?
Dig in and get
And,
going.
and I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
these big goals. We're just going to crush it this year.
yeah.
And then we know like COVID hit, right? I mean, fortunately, the IT industry is an
I'd say the
industry that
flip
like
side of COVID was a bonus for you
it
guys,
was
right?
good, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, we still hit a lull for a little bit. Like
Mm,
it was an initial boom because not everybody knew how long everything was going to last,
mm.
right? So we had this like influx of projects right away, help people work remotely. And I mean, we were
Like temporarily work remotely, probably in the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah. And I mean, we were trying to help people as much as we can. And so that really helped us. We had this like nice spike and then there was a drop off.
Mm.
And it wasn't until the end of the year where we started to pick up again. So 2020 wasn't, again, it was kind of a flat year, but then everything started to pick up in 2021. But what I did during that time, we're all sitting at home twiddling our thumbs, like
Yeah.
not knowing when is this going to end. So, you're people aren't looking to go buy IT services right then. Like aside from the, hey, can you help us work remote,
Yeah, the
right?
quick remote
Right. Like,
connections.
okay, cool. Like, but
Yeah.
they don't want to talk about ongoing and all that. It's just like, help me right now.
Yeah.
So I used my time to look at the business and the processes, and I really looked at the sales process and reached out to some colleagues and people I knew that were doing IT sales really well. I said, "Hey, tell me how you're doing. Tell me how you deliver a sales presentation. What's
Yeah.
that look like?" And so we, for the first time ever, built out an actual slide deck and sales presentation.
Yeah.
And I looked at our website, like this thing's stale, it's old. We rebuilt our website. At the time, I had attended a virtual conference around Story Brand Theme, which is an awesome framework for content writing and telling your
And you have
story
more
in
of that
simple.
coming, right? Like
Yeah,
another
yeah, we're
version of
we're
that.
doing a new iteration of it now.
Nice.
Because the first time I did it on my own. Well, you know, you read a book, you hear a speech, and you're not really the expert.
Yeah.
This time I'm
Which is
working with
still better than
experts.
not doing it.
It's still better than not doing it,
Yeah.
100%. And well, it did work because we did the website. We put together a sales presentation. We were getting referrals. That helped us start to convert, and then we just started doubling down on the marketing, which was information I got from Marcus Lemonis, if you're familiar with him.
Mm.
Show the Profit. Saw him at a virtual conference too, and he's like, in the times like this, the companies that are going to come out ahead are going to double down on their marketing because everybody else is trying to save money and they're not sure what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we
So
were.
they're going to pull back their ad spend, right? Well, if you double down on your marketing, you just got all their ad
I
space.
wish most of our clients had watched that seminar because we had the ones that were backing off.
Right. And it's the exact opposite
Yeah,
strategy. And I'm grateful I heard that.
yeah,
And I think, taking action on these things, because utilizing the, quote unquote downtime from that period of time to just learn and educate and figure out what can I do to get out of this? Because, there was a part of me that was like, are we going to survive?
right.
Right. Like, what is this going to do to us? And instead of just sitting in fear, I said, let's find the path to growth. And then it took it into 2021 where all of that time and focus on that set us up for that success that then carried over the next couple of years. And then we've just been growing and growing and
And that
growing.
got you Inc. 500, fastest growing,
Yeah. Well, in
fastest growing.
5,000. I wish we
Sorry,
were the
that's
500.
fair. Yeah, the 500 would
I do
be.
want to clarify. I mean, I wish we were there. I mean, maybe one day, but
Yeah,
yeah, 5,000.
still phenomenal.
We were number
Don't detract from
16
that.
in Riverside. I like that.
There was 15 other on the list from Riverside, huh? Out of the
Yeah.
5,000,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
Well, I hope there was more. I hope I wasn't last in Riverside.
Well, 15 others at different
Right, right.
levels.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's put you at the top of the list,
Right,
but
yeah,
but
yeah.
but there
No,
were
I know.
16 that made the list in the town, which that's
At
cool for our
least, because
city.
we were 16th. So,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. And, yeah, I don't know if everyone listening here is familiar with, what it takes to qualify in the Inc.
No,
5000.
tell
So,
us.
what the Inc. 5000 does, you apply. Of course, you pay some money, right? You submit your financials, P&Ls, and they look at a 3-year period. So, we made it for the first time last year. So, we applied in, I was 2023. So they took our 2022 numbers compared to our 2019 numbers.
Uh,
So they want to see what you did over the past 3 years. Well,
yeah, yeah.
2019 was our worst freaking year. I mean, it was the year
It's
we
still a
went
good year,
down. It
but
was,
yeah, but
right. Like, yeah. But then compared to what we did in 2022, it was just phenomenal.
yeah.
Right.
So it was. You were maybe even in. If they looked at 2019, were you at or below a million then? Even so, like that comparison was probably even
We
more
were
than.
like right at a million.
Yeah, but still, that's regardless of it being a down. I mean, that's tripling
Yeah.
in
I mean,
3 years.
when I say we were down, like we were literally, I mean, it was like we were flat, like we were down
Yeah,
like a couple thousand heads, right?
yeah.
Compared.
Not
But
not significant. Like we
yeah.
were down, and it's my fault, but we were down like 50% through COVID, right? And a big part of that, which is terrible to admit as a marketing company, is we weren't marketing
Mm.
and we were complacent, right? I was the if you're the tale of success, I'm the tale of the opposite, right? Because during that time, we had people back off, and we actually, I mean, we were fine, bills were getting paid and everything like that, but so we were kind of complacent, and we didn't double down on our marketing. We didn't reach out to more people and build it out in a way to come out of it. Like, I mean, you basically built the system and rode the upswing once people came back around or whatever, right? So we're growing and we're building back and we're doing better now. But yeah, we should have done what you did
Yeah.
instead of just kind of enjoying sitting at home doing nothing and sitting in the backyard staring at the
Well, so I
sky.
still got a lot of that because
Yeah,
it didn't
yeah.
consume all my time. But I mean, truthfully, if I didn't hear that presentation from Marcus Lemonis regarding that,
Yeah.
um, I probably would have fallen in the same trap as everybody else, right?
Yeah, they're
Like as a
pulling in their
business, you're
cash.
just
They're trying
pulling
to
it in.
hold
Let me
in
just
reserves.
hold and let me just hope, right? Like that,
Yeah.
my name and my reputation out there. But I heard that, and then of course, we got some of the EIDL and PPP money, and so I said, well, I'm getting this money. How can I utilize this to fuel growth? Because you know it was there to help with maintaining our payroll, but then we
Yeah.
were able to utilize it to grow and then grow the team,
Well,
right?
the money
Create
was
more
there to
opportunity.
help hold the economy together. So
Right.
putting it into work to bring on more jobs, more money for the economy.
Yep.
That's a good use of that, right? So
Yeah.
that's killer. The systems that you've kind of put in place. So I know you're spending on AdWords, you're doing email marketing. Let's just say that a younger company, a newer company that's looking at this, if you could pick, let's just say three things that may, and everything doesn't work for everybody, but there's certainly some core things that work for everybody if done correctly. What are three things that maybe you would suggest that people really kind of look at in their business if growth is what they're after, and on their marketing side, what are three things that maybe they should really look at, and maybe the numbers or the channels or whatever?
Yeah. Well, this isn't a plug for you, but I mean, every company should have a good website that communicates well,
Yeah.
right? And don't overcomplicate it. Like, really, the story brand framework helps. Like Jen put this like streamlined content there, but I mean, everybody needs to have that because, you know, there's two ways to market and sell your business. You're either doing outbound, right? Which
Mhm.
pick up the phone and call, which if you have no money and you have no budget and you have time, that's the best thing you could
And
probably
will
do.
and
Well,
strength and
and just
perseverance.
right, and just know, hey, there's a lot of people most people are gonna tell you no. Some people are gonna
Yeah.
cuss you out. Some people I've done it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't like it. It's uncomfortable. But if you want to grow, like that doesn't cost me anything except my time and to pick up the phone and call.
Right.
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 You got to find a list but I mean,
But you can get on. You
it's
can use
easy.
Google for that.
Google,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
who do I want to sell to? I want to sell to CPAs. Cool. CPAs near me. Boom.
Yeah.
You got a
Yeah.
list of at least 20 people to call right
Yeah.
there.
Easy.
Super easy, right?
Yeah.
No cost, nothing, right?
Yeah.
And if anything, you're just creating a name, right?
But even if you call those people, they're probably going to look at your website. So you
Right. So
still want to
yeah,
have
look
that.
at your website. Um, you know, ads could be too expensive for most people. It depends on the market. Some people could
Depends on the customer value, the
right.
profit for
So
sure.
maybe you can't do ads. So you got to at least have like you said, if you're calling, then sure. One of the strategies we've tried to execute on, we're still trying to figure out the secret sauce to it, is direct mail. It seems like an old school thing, but it's things that people aren't necessarily doing, and you're actually putting something physically in front of them.
Well, that's the thing. I've talked to some people about direct mail recently, and it's not cluttered like email is what direct mail used to be. You used to get 5,000 things in your mailbox, you throw them away, and now don't do that. As people still do it and have success with it, but yeah, direct mail is something that should be part of that equation for sure. I think, but
Yeah.
you do have to get it right. You do have to target it well. You have to make sure it's something that they're going to actually look at, and it's not just going to go, you know, trash desk, trash desk. You want yours to make it to the desk side, but
Yeah,
it's definitely a
it's
medium
got to
to do.
stand out. It's got to like have some eye catchiness to it, where it's
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's as simple as handwriting and hand addressing it.
yeah,
I mean, if I send you any type of letter in an envelope and you can tell it was handwritten, you're probably going to open it, right?
yeah.
Because nobody does that anymore.
Right, dude. There was a the Norris Group. We did their probably a referral from you
Probably.
back in the day.
Yeah.
We did a great project for them, but in their office they had a little machine with a pen that would handwrite the envelopes. Right, they
Yeah.
would look handwritten, but it was literally like a little like printer almost, but it was a pen moving around. And I
Yep.
thought that was a trip, but it gives it that handwritten feeling.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and that's a fairly low cost thing. I mean, you could have the cost of a stamp, an envelope, and a letter.
Well, if you do it in bulk, it's not even the cost of a stamp, right? Like if you
Right.
do a postcard stamp yourself at 60 cents
Yep.
and then printing's maybe $1, so $1.60. But if you use a mailing house, some of them are down below $1, I think, even per mailer, so you can get it cheaper.
Yeah. And what does that do? It helps brand, right? All of a sudden now this material from your company's coming through. Like the key thing to it, again, the free step is send it out, do 50 to 100 in a week, and then turn around and call them all the next week. Hey, did you get the letter I sent you?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, simple strategy, low cost, great way to get started. Should you still do some email marketing? Yeah. You and I both know you're supposed to get people
That's
to
tough.
opt
And they need
in.
to opt in, ideally.
Ideally, I
Or
mean,
technically.
I'll admit right here, we don't always have everybody opt in. It
Well,
is what it
there's
is.
cold mailing and I know this is actually, which is I should know this, but I've been seeing things lately that have kind of made me second guess it. Is I've always operated under the assumption that canned spam is you can't mail to them without solicitation or without opting in. But I've also read some things that you can if you're sending like as long as you're not like sending them like a scam, like as long as like you're sending a legitimate offer from a reputable company. And I'm not saying that allows you to email them every day for the rest of their life, right?
Right.
But like if you send out one email and I'm not 100% clear on. I think there's a little bit of a gray area there. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I should know more, but I always default to being very careful with that. I've had lists go away, right? I had Constant Contact where it was lists that I built through customers, interaction relations, maybe not all opt in, but through genuine, like they weren't purchase lists, right?
Right.
And it was up to maybe like 5,000, and I was emailing and getting decent responses from it. And then for BNI, I sent one that says, "Hey, I got a referral for you," was the subject. 95% open rate. Next day I shut down because people open, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's Austin." So the ones that open are like, "Oh, he's got a referral for me." They open, are like, "Hey, come to our BNI meeting on our visitors day on the 5th." They're like, spam, 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 spam,
Oh
spam.
man.
And it's
Yeah.
and they call and they're like, "You need to show us, the opt-in form or the signed thing that they, opt in." I was like, "I don't have it." Like, "Cool, we'll just turn that list off." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So if you are doing it, that's the point of being very clear and direct about what the intention is, what the subject is. It was a really clever subject, but it
Yeah.
backfired.
Well, and I've done the same thing. So, let's air it out there so people can learn from the mistakes that we've made, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I've got lists of 5, 10,000, and just, part of the easy way to kind of scrub a list is email it and see what bounces. Oh, cool. We got 2,000 bad contacts. Get those out, and
yeah.
right. We did that, and then we started to get not we didn't get blacklisted, but we started, being considered bulk spam
Yeah,
mails.
your
So
emails
even
start
like a
showing up in
legit,
spams things, and
exactly, I could send you an email and then boom, you just
it's in my
even
spam folder
I'm
now.
in the spam folder, and so we
Yeah,
had to reverse that. And now here's a pro tip for everybody. If you want to do something like that, there's this great thing. Well, you guess you get at least one other domain.
yeah,
I would recommend like three that are
yeah,
similar to your business, right?
yeah.
And there's a great platform called instantly.ai. And you can go plug those in and email out through there, and it does a very slow. So, like if you plug 1,000 people into there and you say, I want to send out this email to them, it's not going to hit all 1,000 at once.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Don't just dump the whole list
Correct.
overnight.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we use Sendy for some people, and like 200,000 emails, in 2 days.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it worked out okay for them, but there was definitely suggestions of maybe this isn't the best tactic, right?
Right. Yeah.
But they got lucky.
So, I mean, it's a slow roll with it, but like this thing literally sends like maybe 20 emails per day. So it's going to take a long time to go through a big
Yeah,
list,
yeah,
but you're going to avoid the red flags because what it does is it mimics sending it as if I just sent you an email,
mm.
right? And there's, I think that's that gray area you talk about, like
Yeah,
um, putting somebody into their, people into an email database, like a constant contact, MailChimp, HubSpot, whatever you're
yeah,
using,
yeah.
and mass emailing to hundreds or thousands. I think that's where it's like, no.
That's where you're crossing the line.
But if you want to just open up your email and one off and send everybody,
Yeah,
even
say,
if you
hey,
want to
here's
sit
what we
there
do.
every day and you send out 500 in the day, it's not necessarily a mass emailing,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
You're just
it's a
reaching
different
out. Like
tool.
it's a different,
And it's your attention too, right?
yeah,
So, sure, if you're still emailing, and definitely don't send out a few thousand through your regular email a day. You know
right.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that won't fix the problem. So and that's where it definitely gets muddy with some of that stuff. So,
Yep.
but there is opportunity there. So it is something to give real thought to as part of the flow. But so what was another one that as part of your system? We've got a good website, cold call if you can, and that takes a different breed of person, but you
Yep.
definitely should consider it. Um,
Direct mail marketing.
direct mail ads
Yep.
if it makes
Ads
sense.
if
If
you
you got a
can.
$1 widget,
Yep.
it might not make sense. If you got a $3,000 customer value,
Yep.
probably makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Email marketing, like just smartly, like we just talked about. And then, the other thing is, being involved in the community and networking and getting a name for yourself, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and we were just talking before this, you're so good at that. I'm involved in it too, right? Like we're both in BNI. We're both in relation with EO and the chamber.
Yeah.
You got to just get out there and know people, right? And then, part of that is like, how well can you market yourself in person when someone says, what do you do? And that's
Yeah.
something I'm starting to work on, like even again, like reinvent myself of like,
Yeah. That Mark Pollard one was a good
right. Yeah.
presentation about that.
All right, well, Derek, what do you do? Well, I do IT and cybersecurity. No one cares, right? Like, what
Yeah.
do you do?
Tuned out.
I do digital
I do
marketing.
websites, and I still find myself saying, even though I still find myself saying that
It's
sometimes when I'm
hard to
trying to
break
work on it.
that habit,
Yeah.
right?
Well, real quick, I want to jump real quick back to the email thing just before I forget. It is 100% important to have a sign up form on your website out there and to build a opted in list that you can
Absolutely.
market to, that your customer, as part of your onboarding process or your contract or whatever, have an opt in there. You definitely want to, I don't want to miss that part because we talked about kind of the other side of it, but make sure that you're doing everything you can to make sure that everybody you do interact with has the opportunity to opt in, because those emails, like I would send out, I have an old list of those, like maybe 500 of like clients, past clients, whatever. You send that out and one reaches out almost every email blast and says, hey, I'm glad you sent this. I forgot about, I
100%.
need this, I need
Yep.
that, whatever. So I didn't want to leave email on just that mass email side. Like make sure you have an opt-in system, and it's like a constant contacts, maybe 20, 30, 40, $50 a month. It's worth it. Use it. So sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Well,
back to complete, but
I mean, let's just expand upon that quickly because if people don't know what an opt-in is, right? Like have some sort of free piece of value, right? It's the free
Yeah.
report. It's this,
Yeah. The lead
right? It's
magnet, the
not
hook.
just, hey, call us and have a consultation. Some people just aren't there yet.
Well, yeah, that's okay. So that opens up a broader subject almost, right? So when with your website, whether you're running ads, you're doing cold calls, you're doing networking, you have to have the funnel, the flow, right? The I'm gonna get their attention somehow. They're gonna come somewhere. Something's gonna happen. Blah blah blah. Right. What you're referring to there is a lead magnet, right? The
Yep.
thing.
Hmm.
So, and something we talk about a lot with our customers. There's two things that are gonna happen when somebody comes to your website. They're either gonna well, there's more than that, but let's just say there's two. They're either interested or they're not. Or excuse me, they're ready to buy and they're going to reach out to you, which is a very small percentage,
Hmm.
single digit, small percentage, right?
Yep.
And then the most expensive clicks and everything else. And there's everybody else that's looking for information, doing their research, right? So the thing that you're referring to there is so important and get them opt in at the same time is having the lead magnet, having some value, something that's worth more than sharing their email is worth to them, which is valuable to a lot of people. That's something that people covet.
Yep.
And like you said, a white paper or, for IT, here's 10 things you need to make sure on your network that you can do yourself or whatever. Or for us, we gave for dentists, like, here's a whole year's calendar of social posts
Hmm.
free. We're not
Yep.
asking for that. There's value for that, right? So
100%.
get
Yeah.
their emails and then have follow-ups from that. So yeah, and that's a great way to get them in the list and to build more, since we're on the email topic, to build out the nurture emails, have emails that are going out once a month, have your newsletter going out once a month, like using email on a consistent basis to stay in front of people. So when they are ready to buy, they
Yeah.
remember you.
Yeah. And just to kind of summarize it, like if, almost all businesses, there's some that don't rely on sales and marketing to grow. Most do, right? And if you're going to run a business and be serious about growth, you've got to be a student of sales and marketing. And for most people, it's just this line item of expense,
Yeah.
and you can't look at it that way. It's an investment in your company.
And you need to understand it. I just
Yeah.
left an auto shop where, I'm showing them our reports, because we can give them up into they get the customer and they charge them because we don't have that report, right? So here's how many calls, how many whatever. And they're like, well, we know we want to keep using you in Google because that's all going great, but we're spending like $1,200 a month on Yelp. We think we want to drop it. I was like, well, how much did it make you? I don't think it's, I was like, well, let's pull up, you have software where you log every customer that comes in, and your front desk is supposed to be, let's pull reports. And they had like in the last 3 months, they've got like 10 people that are attributed to a source like Google or whatever. So I was like, you can't drop Yelp right now because you don't even know. It might be making you more money than I am. I don't know either, right? So
Right.
like
Yeah.
I was like, you guys got to really sit down, have your guy, give you make sure he's doing it, incentivize him or penalize him, whatever you need to do, make sure he's doing it. Have him send you a report once a week because as Bernie likes to say, and as you know, whatever's monitored is done or whatever the right thing
Yeah.
is. So like I was like, even if you're not looking at those reports, he's gonna think you're looking at them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, my point with that is like knowing and even like working with a big company, they were spending tons of money on ads and they don't know which part's working or not working. So you're right. It's important. It's important to actually know where you're spending, what it's doing, what it's making you,
Yeah.
and not
Because
just
if
hoping.
you don't know, right, you're paying money for it every month, and then you're just kind of doing a gut check. Well, did I grow and did I get new
Yeah.
business from it,
It
right?
feels good or it doesn't feel good.
Right. And maybe one, like, why we went down this road of, we're in the process of rebuilding our website and changing the content branding on it is because we're driving a ton of traffic to our site and it stopped converting. Well, the only way I know that is looking at the metrics and the tracking of it, the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like I go, wow, that many people hit our site and like we're getting nothing from it. So tells me something's broken. The message isn't there. People aren't engaged,
Yeah.
aren't resonating with what
They're not
the
resonating.
site has. So, all right, cool. We're doing good on getting traffic. We're failing on the message there.
Yeah.
So
So now
time
we're
to
just
change
paying
something,
for
right?
branding
Yeah,
and it's not good branding apparently because
right.
they're not interested or whatever it
Yep.
might be. I'm not saying it's bad branding, but it's
And
not
if
what you want of it. That's for sure.
right, and then the opposite can be true. You could be watching your numbers and have very low traffic but high conversion. Cool, you got an awesome site. People like it. Your
Yeah.
message is good.
Spend more
Pay
money,
pay more and more money and get more people
get
there.
more
Grow your
clicks.
business.
Yeah. Email, driving them in. And then I think the other part, like, so marketing's important. That's my wheelhouse. Something that I still genuinely need to do better for my business. I'm listening to a book right now. It's just the one page marketing plan, basic stuff, right? Well, basic's not the right word, but that core stuff. It's all stuff I've heard a million times, right? But to just listen to it again and again, and put those fundamentals in place, and actually have a thought out process of who, how, what's the follow-up, what's the presentation, is key. So I think that's really important stuff. But then once that happens, something that I think that you're really good at is then also having that team to support it, right? Because a big part of marketing is also happy customers, referrals. So when you the segue to kind of the internals of the team part and the culture and the leadership, when you first started the marketing, or excuse me, when in 2019 when it was kind of low, and then you had that huge growth. Besides the marketing growth, you also had to have team growth. So kind of how many people were on the team in like 2019 versus now, and how do you kind of manage that team and your culture? And I've seen your employees actually tear up a little bit talking about your culture and how happy they are working for you. So anything you could talk about with that would be huge.
Yeah. So short answer on like growth, I think we were in 2019, I think we were maybe 7 or 8 people. We were just recently up at 18. We've had a little turnover recently, rehiring. So it always happens. So welcome to the world of business. I think we're at 15 right now. So we, doubled in people,
Yeah.
tripled in revenue, doubled in people.
Nice.
And I appreciate you segueing to that because, the whole, like we talked a lot about, okay, how do you acquire new customers, right? But the other half of the equation is, it does you no good if you're going to bring on a bunch of customers and let them walk right out the door because you can't deliver on service, right? You've got to be able to execute, and you've got to be able to execute well. And so during the past 2 years, because of the growth and the team growth, we've developed better internal systems and processes to grow and nurture our existing client base. And, it's what does that look like? Well, it's hiring things like account managers, right? People that are dedicated to reach out to our clients and have scheduled meetings with them and check in. And,
Yeah.
it's half of, hey, check in how it's going. Here's what we've done for you. And then it's a sales element. Like, here's our recommendations. This is how we can continue to make your business better with IT, right? Like, when we track and budget, like I'm going to say, hey, you've got, 10 of your computers are, over 5 years old as of next year. So start budgeting, either start replacing them now or you're going to look at, 15, 20 grand next year to replace
when they're not
these.
supported
And
anymore.
and then if you don't do it, you're going to be calling us a lot for support.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be able to fix it.
Right.
Right.
Because
So, and then you're going to be mad. So
Windows
let's
is not
just,
supporting. It's
right.
not on us or
Let's
whatever.
just like avoid all that. Right.
Yeah.
Like, let's do the proactive thing.
Yeah.
And so that's the main thing. We built out, I hired, it took me 3 hires to find a good number 2, my VP of operations, who, now I can come over here in the afternoon and do this, and everything's running. I don't have to worry about it, right?
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, sometimes what hits the fan, and Derek is going to get a call. But just really building in the systems and the team, supporting the team, lots of training. We do biweekly lunch and learns. It's usually team led, so it's not just Derek barking at the team, right? Like,
Nice.
occasionally it's that, right? Like, here, let me take you guys through this.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're having the team educate each other, and that helps them grow.
Nice.
Gives them an opportunity, right? It gives them some status in the company, like, I get the ability, and it doesn't matter your role or rank. Like, if you're doing something really well, or you got something, then like, hey, can you step up? Even if it's a 15-minute training.
Nice.
And it was just taking care of the people too, just going back to the COVID thing. It was, I committed to myself and my team. I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure we don't have any cuts and everybody at least stays full time. Like, it's just, I had to put my money where my mouth is, right? Like, and luckily we pulled it off. I did. Yeah, hey, if it really gets bad, I'll do what I got to do. But luckily we found the way. But you have to be able to find ways and keep your clients happy. And then if you're able to bring in the new clients, deliver a great product or service, then you're not going to lose those clients. You're going to get better ROI, and then you should be able to get referrals from them. All right. So we have constant feedback systems. So, whenever we complete things, hey, tell us how we did, get the survey back. If it doesn't come back good, because look, we're not perfect. We get ones.
Yeah.
You guys suck today.
Uh-oh.
Cool. How thanks for letting us know. Appreciate that. Yeah. Like, well, how did we miss the mark? Who do we got to talk to? What do we got to do better?
Yeah.
Right. And then we get other ones. Like, we just got one yesterday from a new client, and he was like, we are so happy with BizTech and glad we made the switch. And Ethan's a rock star and always taking care of things. And,
Nice.
and then when we get that, the next best thing to do is, you got to just go and tell that person. So it's like, hey, Ethan just got this awesome survey. Way to go, Ethan. You're a rock star. Awesome.
Well, you do that externally too. Like, you put that stuff, you do that externally too. You put that stuff on your social media. You're good
Yeah.
about sharing that stuff too, and sharing those successes.
Yeah, it all feeds right to our website. It
Yeah.
feeds into social channels. And yeah, sure, that's promoting our service. We're also promoting our people, which is key
Yeah.
because the team is key. How you're delivering it is key. Again, if sell like crazy, and I've heard of companies like that, sell like crazy, but the product sucks, and then you're gonna end up dying.
Well, even us. So we're not somewhere in between, right? We were our retention where isn't where I'd want it to be. So I didn't even like I paused even some marketing. I was like, I kind of went backwards and let's look at some of our processes because we have enough clients that if we're retaining them at a higher percentage, and we have some that go years and years and years, so it's not like it's a major issue. But um, I'd rather be putting lose one or two a quarter, a year, whatever it might be, and put 4 or 5 on. Whereas we were kind of the point where we would bring on a new one or two, and values were different, right? So it wasn't a loss, but then we'd lose the same amount. So we plateaued at this like ceiling where we bring on one and lose one, and kind of I was like, so well, hold on, even if we retained half of the ones that we lost, we wouldn't be doing this. We'd be
Yeah.
doing this. So like, and I mean, I'm honest about it even on here. Like up until the last few years, we were kind of just a cruising lifestyle company, and like processes were lacking, systems were lacking, and just putting energy into those things, documenting how to do things, documenting what we expect, having better processes for checking that stuff. It's helped us a lot with retention, right? And the flip side of that too is now we're getting referrals from them to bigger clients, right?
Hmm.
That are so it's huge to have that from somebody that was bad about it. I highly add, and you've always been good about it. Like that's the one thing you've always been. Like our personalities are very different in the sense that you're much more analytical, thorough, consistent, right? Where I'm kind of ADD, jumping around, trying different things and doing different things. So,
Yeah.
but that's the one thing where like now we've really invested time and energy into processes, and it's so much better for even morale, knowing what to do, getting
Hmm.
it done. People aren't frustrated because a ball got dropped or something didn't get done right away. Like we literally just had everybody in the office kind of knew what they did and they did it. And then if something wasn't part of what we kind of, like you get to the end of the month, you're like, but you were, I thought you were. And it's like, nobody did it.
Oh
And
yeah.
it wasn't on a list. It wasn't like it's just forgotten. And so was bad for the company, bad for the customers. So yeah, those processes are so key.
Yeah, the processes are key. And I mean, the other thing, you kind of touched on there too, and if you want to be successful, anybody in business got to have a clear vision and know what they want to do. People ask me about that often, and like I'm clear. I can picture where I am
You've
in
clearly,
10 years, like
yeah,
5 years. I know exactly like
your
what I
vision. I
want
knew
my
your
life.
vision like 4 or 5 years ago, probably.
Yeah,
I think, right? It's the
yeah,
same. You've had a very clear and very well articulated vision, grand vision for where you want to be with your company at a certain point in time, a certain revenue amount,
yeah,
and you've been driving for it relentlessly for pretty much as long as I've known you, and
yeah.
it's paying off in dividends.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, and that's my record. People ask me about it. I'm like that. You're not going to get to where you think you want to go if you don't know where you're going, right? And I mean, I know a lot of people say that, right? But it really is true. I didn't understand that up until the past 4 or 5 years, right? And I mean, when I first started the business and even started to grow a little bit, like doing $1 million in revenue was like a pie in the sky. I was like, I'll never be that company. That's not going to be me. Like, I can't do that. Like, and then we got there and it was like, oh, we can do this, right? And then it's like, okay, then all of a sudden, like it opened up, and it's like, okay, we're gonna go bigger,
Yeah.
right? And I'll even say it like, while I feel like I have this big vision of where I want to go, it's still not as big as other
No.
people, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
It's still
I don't
it's
have
still
this
a
billion
small,
dollar
small.
thing, right? It is
Yeah.
still small,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Which
it's
is
bigger
crazy,
than,
but yeah.
but yeah, but
Can we share that number since for reference or not? I'm okay either way.
yeah, I mean, I've always said, look, I want to grow to be a leading, I say a leading Southern California IT company. There's a lot of good,
Yeah.
large IT companies in here. There's a lot of national big players, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be bold and say we are going to be the largest, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
we are going to be a leading, IT company.
Yeah.
My goal is, 10 million in revenue, right? With 50 plus employees, healthy bottom line. We're looking at 20% to the bottom line. Those are all those goals, and then a system and a team that automates and runs without me, where all I got to do is check in, lead my team, let them know the path that we're going, be the visionary, say, hey, this is the path we're going. This is how we're going to execute. Hold people accountable. Are we hitting our numbers? Are we hitting our metrics?
Yeah.
And everything else just kind of falls into place. And so the days that you wake up and you're like, well, what am I doing this for? Well, that, and then it goes beyond just what I want in the business. And it's like, okay, well, what does my life look like? What am I doing if I don't have to be there day in and day out? Well,
Yeah.
cool. I call it Derek 2.0. Like, I love the idea of being able to coach and help others. So, all right, cool. I'll go be a coach and consultant and help other business owners implement strategies to help them grow. I'll have more time with my family to travel. I want to invest in real estate. Like, I have all these things. I'm like, okay, I got to get here to help continue to free up my time. And as we continue to move up, like I just find myself having more and more time to get into those things, like even, extra networking and all of
Yeah.
that. You just start filling your time, but you've always got to remember what to prioritize, right? And it's real easy to get lost real fast in all these things that you're doing. And,
Yeah.
sometimes I look at it and I go, wait a minute, I got to pull back a little bit here because it's taken away from me driving to what I really need to do.
Yeah. No, that's huge. And that's one of ours, like that clear vision is something that I lacked until a few years ago too. But it's something I did a video recently about it. Like, and I'm not saying I'm perfect about it. I still got a long way to go with tracking the KPIs and hitting the goals. But to have a set goal and then to be able to look at, you put a time on it. Like the video talks about SMART goals, right? I won't remember the acronym, but the point of it is time.
Mhm.
They're sensible, they're doable, they're measurable.
Specific, measurable, actionable, uh, realistic, and time
Yeah,
sensitive.
there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, and the time one is like in the video, I was like, so you want to make 10 million. If you just put in your head that I want to have a business that makes 10 million with no time frame on it or anything, you can't figure that out, right? But you say, okay, I want to have it in 10 years, be at 10 million. I'm at this number. Here's the progress I have to make each year.
Right.
What does that look like? What does that, working backwards from that is so huge. And my mentor has kind of leaned on me more about doing that because I had spreadsheets with KPIs, but a lot of the rows are blank, right? Like I thought about what I want to track, but then I'm not good about tracking it, right? I get
Yeah.
caught up in the daily stuff, and those are probably even just excuses. Like I'm just not being mindful of really tracking those things correctly. But if you have the goals and then you build out what you need to do, you can actually work towards it, right? And we're starting to do
Right.
that. I mean, we're probably going to be up another. I was looking at it yesterday because one of the things in EO in our accountability group is now we're gonna like each meeting we look at our 12-month rolling revenue. So
Mhm.
looking at it, I was like, I didn't realize how much better we're doing this year than last year. I mean, we'll probably be up another 50%. Like we were 50% the year before that, and
Mhm.
it's really just having that goal, working on specific things, and we haven't changed any dramatic marketing. We have put a lot of time into process as far as trying to deliver better service and get better results, make our clients more money, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what our retention is based on. But you're right, having those allows you to work forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And having it allows you to work forward, but it also allows you to course correct in it. Right. When you're looking at those numbers and KPIs on a consistent basis, all of a sudden things stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, leading ones, right?
Right. Yeah.
Which,
It's like, whoa, okay, yeah, that's if we don't fix that, we're not going to hit our target for the year. I
yeah,
mean, truthfully, we're off track for our target for this year. It's been a tough year.
right.
It's
And for a
not,
lot of people,
yeah, yeah.
but
Um, we're still going to be up over last year, but we're not hitting the target we said. So,
right.
now, to continue on the path of the goal I want to hit, like I'm gonna have to make up ground in the future, right?
Well,
I
and
got to find a path.
if you didn't have that, you would just be like, hey, we're up, and you'd be feeling good probably,
Right, right,
right? And
and
but you wouldn't be progressing at the rate you need to hit your objective.
yeah, because most people say, "Oh, hey, we're up 20% over last year. This is a great year," and I'm like,
Right.
"We're having a shitty year."
Uh,
Because that's not what I want,
yeah, because that's not the goal
right?
based on
But
the
then I
objectives.
got to go. All right, well, hey, we're still having a good year,
Yeah, you have to
right?
balance. Yeah,
Right. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
beat myself up, but I got to also
You
then
can't beat the team down, and
right,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But
So
so I think that's a good opportunity for us to kind of talk about. And I talked about this a little bit with Angel, who's following a lot of the same like EO traction type stuff that you've implemented and I'm working on implementing. But um, I want to get your take on, based on those long term goals, those short term goals. Just talk to the audience a little bit about some leading and trailing indicators, what that means to you. It's the same thing basically, right? But what that kind of means to you, and what ones, some of the core ones that you think it's important, and keeping it kind of general, right? Maybe your business, but like some of the key leading versus trailing indicators and how you can kind of use those and what those kind of are to you.
yeah, I think it all starts in sales and marketing, because that's going to tell you what you're going to bring in, how much you're going to grow, right? So for us, all right, well, how many leads did we get? right? And then from there, how many of those leads turned into an appointment? And how many of those did we give a proposal to? And then out of those, how many did we convert? Like, what's the conversion rate, right?
Mhm.
So if the lead flow drops, then you know your conversion may not drop, but you're not going to convert as many deals,
Right. And
right?
those are leading, right?
Right. And those are leading, right? Because if I know that, hey, we're going to have 20 leads per month, 10 of them are going to get a proposal, and we're going to convert 35% of them, well, then, okay, we got 3 or 4 new clients in the month, right?
Right.
If I know if we're going to have that, it's a good month. Reality is like getting 1 to 2 clients in a month is good. That's our target,
Yeah.
right? But then it's like, how many do I know? So if all of a sudden leads drop, I know like, wow, we're gonna have a hard time
Well, even
closing
or
that.
if website traffic drops or
Right, yeah. Then
mailers
you
drop or
can
whatever.
back up
Yeah.
even further,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, and that's what went down this path because we started seeing leads drop, and so okay, so you start
Yeah.
going up the chain because you can now I can see that well, that's part of the reason we're off track because we're not adding what we needed to add
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
Internally, right? Like I said, we have account managers, so they have sales targets that they have to hit, and you know in a budget in the beginning of the year I know what their goal is, and so that's the expected revenue I expect them to sell, and so we look at it monthly and quarterly, and if they're not at hitting 100%,
Mhm.
well, now I know that revenue bucket's going to be lower.
Yeah.
What do we got to do to increase that, right? And if both new sales and internal sales are dipping down, you're not going to hit your targets, right? One could be crushing it, the other maybe not as good. You might still turn out okay.
Right.
If they're both crushing it, you're crushing it.
Right. But if you're not watching either of them, you
Yeah.
don't know. I had a client, our longest client, and his main KPI was his bank account balance. That is the most trailing of indicators possible, right? Because that's
Yeah.
after everything, literally
Yeah.
after everything,
Yeah.
expenses, income, revenue, sale, whatever. Like so,
It's a snapshot in time. Even a P&L is a snapshot in time.
yeah,
I mean, like I gotta always catch myself on it because you could change the date from when you run your P&L by a day, and it can change drastically.
yeah. And accrual versus cash, it could change dramatically. Like
Absolutely,
they're all,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So we look at, I mean, we're essentially, all of our taxes are on a cash basis, but I look at it on accrual. That's what we actually produced and billed.
yeah,
Now it's up to the business to collect that
right,
money, but that just
right,
tells me our production, right? That's really what I look at, so the accrual. Um, but like we build the majority of our revenue on the first of the month. Well, if I look at it from June 1st to June 30th, I see it might not, you know, it could look okay. But if I go June 1 to July 1, it's going to look phenomenal.
yeah. It's gonna be double potentially
Double.
if the
But
billing's
it
all
doesn't have all of
reporting.
the July expenses, but it's got almost all the July
Yeah,
revenue.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right. So it's
yeah,
like you got to be aware of those things, right?
yeah,
And not, I sometimes there's people get caught up. It's a snapshot in time. So the
yeah,
trailing 12 is a great indicator.
yeah,
I think the other important thing to look at, we touched on it around like service delivery and your clients, like your customer satisfaction, right? How can you keep a pulse on how your clients are feeling about products and services?
yeah,
So for us, it's a survey after each ticket, right? Granted that, most people don't give it at every single ticket, but are you getting bad ones? Are you getting good ones, right? Through account management, hey, checking in with the clients. How are we doing, right? Where one client is feeling something is off, well, if you've got a lot of clients, there's probably a couple others that feel the same way.
yeah.
You might have something going on there,
That's true.
right? And then you got to fix it.
Yeah. So I was that book I was telling you about that I was listening to. I've heard Net Promoter Score a lot,
Yep.
right? And I always thought it was like I'd heard it through our payroll guy that was in our group, and I thought it was like some giant corporate like uh Nielsen type thing or whatever, right?
Yeah,
But I guess it's something you could do yourself, right? It's really just like,
absolutely. Yeah.
and you'll know more about it. But I literally just it was like an hour ago I heard this part of it. You just reach out and say, "Would you refer to us?" And if it's like a 9 to 10, that's a win. If it's a 7 to 8, it's a eh. If it's below that, it's a fail.
Yep.
And then you give yourself a number, and then you have follow up questions about why, and open-ended questions about why you're happy or why you've scored the way you scored or whatever. But those are things that I think a lot of people don't do, including us, because we're kind of like my company. Not as much anymore, but especially in the past when things weren't really structured, because we're afraid what they're going to say, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're if you're really doing your best for the customers, then you're only going to learn from it, right? If you feel like you're taking advantage of them or whatever, or you're not doing a good job, you're not going to want to send that stuff. So it's something that that we don't send, but that I need to start sending, that we're not worried about sending. It's just something we haven't figured out the processes for or done it. But I know in the past I've avoided, like when things weren't structured well, I avoided reaching out to them. Was like, I don't want to trigger them calling me and canceling, or like you're gun shy about it. But I think that's like emotionally a good way to know how you think you're doing. Like if you're afraid to ask how you're doing.
But I think regardless of the fear, you got to ask.
Yeah.
And there's tools out there. Like we're actually implementing a new system because we had a feedback system. We're both on like the same ticket system, right? Autotask has a survey thing. That's where we're getting most of it right now. We're doing a new system that will do net promoter score. Like if anything, just send it out, right? Let people fill it out. Hopefully they do. I mean, direct feedback's the best. But you definitely want to ask. Like you can't be afraid of what they're going to say, because then by the time you find out, it could be too late, right? And
that's fair.
And sometimes it sucks to hear it. Like I don't want to hear that we did a shitty job for somebody. I don't. It kills me.
Yeah.
It's I bleed biz tech blood. This is my lifeblood. This is a reflection of me. So if we don't execute, like I look at it like I take it personal, right? I want to fix it, right? How can we do better?
Yeah.
But then you also have to be aware that some people are just assholes.
True.
And we've had gotten a 1, and it was like you took 5 minutes to reset my password.
5 minutes? You should. Yeah.
I'm like,
you're welcome.
I'm sorry, we executed.
Yeah.
What more do you want?
Right.
I guess,
and they had some answer for that, but it's not a realistic one.
I guess we should have made you remember your password. I'm sorry, I don't have the voodoo to get in your head to make you remember your password.
You know it now,
right? Yeah. So you have to sift through that. But I'll still take that. I mean, sure, excuse your metrics. Now you got this, bad score. But go, well, hey, it is what it is.
But if you understand, and then the flip side of that too is that you can. I've found a lot of times because we're certainly not perfect, and most businesses aren't. It's still people doing stuff. You know what I mean? It's still people at the end of the day. But and I've had companies make big mistakes for us, like that we're paying, and the ones that I've had employees make big mistakes, right? But the people that go, oh yeah, dude, I messed that up. That's on me. Here's how I'm going to fix. And that's what I want from my team. And that's what I try to convey is like, we're going to make mistakes. We try to build processes to avoid them and mitigate them, whatever. We're going to make mistakes. And as long as we own it, correct it, it's the best we can do. And 90% of the time, in my experience, people come out appreciating you more after that than before.
Because they know I guess there's times you can just fuck it up so bad that it's irreparable.
It's over. Yeah.
And you still own up to it. Like I get it, right? Like I deserve to be fired.
Yeah.
Right. But
I've told people to fire us before.
Yeah. But most of the time it's respectable, right? Instead of trying to, blame things, make excuses, just own up to it. Sometimes we own up to things we know aren't our fault. We know the client clicked a button or unplugged it. We're like,
we're sorry. We should have put duct tape on your mouse.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously you don't do it like that, but
right. Yeah. I mean, that's one of our core values is the integrity and accountability piece. And we actually talk about that in our sales process. So we earlier this year, we started implementing, like we say, deliver ultimate client satisfaction and have integrity and own up to it. Right. So we're kind of rephrasing that into, hey, strive for perfection to achieve excellence. And in the sales process, look, I employ people, not robots. We are not perfect.
Yeah, I've heard that pitch. That's exactly what you say.
Yeah. And we're gonna mess up from time to time. Our goal is to make sure that when we do, it's minimal.
Yeah.
And doesn't impact your business very much.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be the first to say, you know what, that was on us, and we're gonna fix it. And we're gonna take care of it.
Right. Versus some companies be like, oh, this is an opportunity for build for more hours or whatever. Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've eaten so many hours, and then on top of that, I'm gonna send them a box of cookies or cupcakes and say, hey, sorry for ruining your day. Here's something sweet to enjoy.
To the cupcakes. We hired a remote worker recently, and it's his first day, and he disappears for like 4 hours, 5 hours. I'm like, dude, this guy's done. The next day I call him, hey, what happened? He goes, boss, it's a new schedule. I ate a big old dinner and I fell asleep. I'm so sorry. I was like, cool.
Right. Yeah.
No worries, man. Just, be mindful of it.
Don't do it again.
Yeah. But a lot of people in that situation have been like, oh, my internet, or, like they would make some excuse. But the fact that he was just like, dude, the wife cooks so good. I went too hard and I knocked out, and I'm like, all right, cool. We've all been there, so.
Yeah, no.
And that endeared him to me. Like, I was like, all right, you're going to be straight with me, then we're good.
But there is sometimes, like whether it's with a client or an employee, that, hey, it's great that you were honest and you were accountable to it, but like I
Yeah.
said, we're still going to be fired. Like
Well,
I had an
sure.
employee that straight up
Uh,
lied to me, and then came back and told me he lied, and I was like, well, thank you for telling me the truth,
yeah, a little
but
late.
you're fired.
Yeah, a little too late.
Yeah,
Yeah, and obviously the severity of the issue is very relevant to what we're talking
yeah,
about, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, it essentially translated to theft of time to be paid for something to do that you weren't doing that you said you were doing.
yeah,
Sorry, I
yeah,
can't trust you now.
right.
Yeah,
No, absolutely. And that's one that you and I've talked about for years, and something that you've always been um, good about, analytical about, not cold-hearted about, but it is still a business, and when things are at that point, you need to address it. And something where I've never had a ton of employees, so it's not something that comes up a lot for me, but it's something that I know that it's not as easy for me. That's not the right way to put it, but I think it's important the way that you look at it analytically. You have compassion for people, you have respect for them, but it is still a role. You have expectations, and I think something I've in some of the books I've listened to lately, they really reinforce that not only is that going to help your business, but it's going to help the team around the business because you're setting everybody to the same standards. And and like if they're having a problem that's hurting the company, it's probably hurting the people around them too, and they're going to be
yeah,
thankful that you let them go, right? Which is the stuff that's hard for a lot of people to do because
yeah,
it is still people and relationships, and you build friendships and things like that. But
yeah.
it's
And
something.
it's really hard not to do. There's when I started building a team, and a lot of companies do this. You refer to it as a family. Well, families are dysfunctional.
Tell me about
I mean,
it.
what family is just perfect, right?
No,
Like everyone's got that, there's
yeah,
dysfunction left and right. So why do you want to have a company
and
that's a
you're stuck with
family?
that dysfunction.
Right. Yeah. Like, yeah, you can't get it
So
with,
that's
but
a
you have a
perfect
choice in
analogy.
your company
Yeah, that's a
to,
perfect
to
analogy.
not build dysfunction.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what is it? Is it a family? No, it's a team,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And teams bringing
And teams,
talent out and
right.
in, and
Hey, look, you have a role, right? We
yeah,
all have a role. We're all counting on each other to have a role, right? And if you're not executing on your role, then I got to find somebody else that's going to execute in the role.
yeah, yeah. No, no. Well said. That's a
And
great analogy, man. I like that.
right, I mean, Tom Brady didn't get a bunch of Super Bowl rings with offensive linemen that didn't do their role to block him, so he could
Just because
throw the
they were
ball,
friends, right?
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It wasn't like, oh, hey, I got sacked 10 times a day. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Like, it was like, no,
Yeah, we
do,
just still have
do
a
your
beer.
damn job or you're out of here,
Yeah.
right?
No.
I need you to do that so we can score points and win the game.
Okay, so this is another good segue. So that family analogy is a great segue, and we were kind of talking about it, but more specifically, culture, right? Which is something that as I mentioned when I was interviewing Angel, it's something that I kind of originally I never really thought it was like hocus pocus BS, but it wasn't something I never really understood or wanted to embrace. I do now, and it's changed how I look at my team, how I want my team to be, who I want my team to be, what their personalities are. But that's something that you for years have embraced and done well with. And like I said earlier, like literally we've had people tear up at, that sub for you from your team talking about how amazing you are. So talk about how you focus on your culture, maintaining on one side, these are your roles, these are my expectations, this is still a business and you can be hired and fired, versus endearing them to loving the culture, loving the system. Just kind of talk about that in your company, and what culture is to you and how you manage it and track it and keep track of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, early on, I didn't get it early on either. I don't think many people do. It takes some time to really get it. I thought it was hocus pocus, touchy feely
Yeah,
shit. And then
hippy dippy.
one day it just clicked, right? Um, I think yes, you have to be able to hold people accountable. You have to tell them. Yeah, I think if I sum it up quickly, it'd be like communication and compassion, and an investment in the people to what interests them to help them grow. So how do I deliver upon that? So I make it a point, and it gets tougher the more you grow, but I get a one-on-one outside of the office with each team member at least once, if not twice a year. And, it's check in, how's it going? But I don't really want to check in and know how it's going at work. I want to know how it's going at home, personal, right? Like, and I ask things like, hey, what are your goals? Like, what are you working on right now? I want to know, like, are you trying to buy a home? Are you trying to buy a car? Are you trying to move out of your home? Like,
Yeah,
Are you trying to get your kids in school? You know, you're trying, like what are you working towards? Like, and that's also a gauge for me of like how motivated they are and are they going to move up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But then if I can know what they're working towards, and I go, okay, now how can I help you? Right? I want to help you. I'd say I want to help you achieve your goals because by you working here and helping take care of our clients and help this business grow, you're helping me achieve my goals.
Nice.
So it's reciprocal here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's not just, yeah, you're here. Thank you. You're building this up.
yeah.
I got it. Great.
Let me get paid
Yay
and get out.
me,
Yeah,
right?
whatever.
Like
Yeah.
how do I give it back, right? How can I help them? And that's just been a big thing of, I want to be able to help them. And a lot of times, it's interesting, you know, in our industry, people just want to learn, right? Like I'm
Mm,
like, I can help you, I'll support you to help get certifications. We do trainings at BizTech and, so people can learn. Um, there's this huge level of support. Like, no, like there's a very minimal ego between people. Like, and sometimes
nice.
in engineers, it's like, I'm God
That's
at this, right?
in my experience, that's a very common
It
thing.
is. And we've had individuals that
Yeah,
way, and I'll tell a story about that. But like, right now where we're at, like everybody's so collaborative, and then I'll check
nice.
in with people and I'll be like, how's it going? And like one of the first things I say is like, it's amazing how helpful everybody is here.
Oh, wow.
Everybody's just willing to help. Like I can just ask and I got support and I got help. And
Nice.
our team is half remote, half in the office. It's hard to maintain that. And how I try to help keep people connected is, we start every Monday, 8 a.m. We basically burn almost a half an hour of the start of our week, where we just hop on the Teams call and, hey, just tell us what's going on in your life. How was your weekend? What did you do?
You do
Right?
as part of your weekly meeting.
Yeah. And when you have, part of the reason I did that, and it actually started in COVID, is because, um, when not everybody's in the office working together, you lose that just inner office chatter,
Yeah,
right?
the water cooler talk.
Like the water cooler talk, right? So, the person that's always sitting in their bedroom at home working doesn't get to chat with the four people, five people in the office. It's
Yeah,
different. It's a different dynamic. So how can I help these people relate to each other and get to know them? We've got two offshore engineers in the Philippines. We know about them. The one guy he does like to drink. He was like, oh, was he hungover this weekend? No, but he went out and rode his motorcycle.
nice. How's the
Um,
typhoon working out for him right now?
they've been okay. They're
Good,
safe,
good, good.
and so just trying to help and connect and understand them. Um, while I do my best to hold people accountable, I also know people are human, and so I'm compassionate. And
Yeah,
what we do can be very stressful. I tell everybody, we're in tech support, so you're going to get people pissed off and frustrated at you probably every day, but it's not at you. Like they were working, it broke, it stopped working.
yeah.
You're the person on the phone,
You
and
get the venting.
you're gonna get the venting,
Yeah,
and then when it's working, they're probably gonna get off the phone quickly and get it back about their day, and it's a thankless job.
yeah.
But welcome to IT tech support.
My first second or third job out of high school was tech support for Apple products, phone tech support.
Yeah.
60 calls a day of pissed off people. It's
Oh,
probably one of the best things for my perseverance and like thicker skin that ever happened to me. Because you're right,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, and so going back what I mentioned earlier, we get this feedback. So when we get positive stuff and people don't just give a 5 rating, but they actually say something,
yeah,
like you have to share that because it's like you're probably not getting that over the phone all the time.
right, yeah,
And
yeah,
so that helps keep people motivated. So checking in, knowing what your team is working towards. Um, we do at least one, it's usually around Christmas collaborative event, but we've done things like go to hockey games or go out
nice,
to dinner and drinks and just
yeah,
to get people connected. But going back to, we talk about, engineers have that God syndrome or how a person can affect your culture. So it was actually one of my first full-time hires,
mm,
engineer, very smart, very good engineer. Um, Loved him, thought he'd be with us forever. And uh, it ended up over time that like he got that syndrome in the company. Like I'm untouchable. Like the clients love me, Derek loves me, I can do anything. And my employees sense that.
uh,
And then there was there was a meeting that like there was a couple of things that happened that there were some mistakes made, nothing like horrible, but it was like, hey, we have to talk about this.
yeah,
And, um, I can't even remember exactly what was said, but I was with his manager and him on this call, and he said something towards his manager that was just totally against our core values. Just, I think it was basically blaming him when we knew it was,
Yeah, yeah,
and like even cussed them. And I just like in the moment, I was just like, "You're done.
yeah.
I am terminating you right now."
Just feel it
And
instantly.
then when the rest of the team found out, they were like, "Oh my God." Like relief, like he was driving us nuts and we thought you would
Uh,
never get rid of him.
oh, there you go. See, and
Yeah.
I bet the next several months everybody was
Yep. And then
digging in and pulling
done here,
together.
everyone pulled together and, let's find somebody else good to bring in. And yeah,
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 yeah. That's a huge lesson and a tough one,
it
right?
is. Oh,
Because
it was really tough.
just books are all I listen to in the car anymore, so that's why I keep going back to them. But there's another one where they're just like that. Like even if they're the top sales producer, that's just making you a killer amount of money. If they're toxic to the environment,
Yeah.
it's not worth it. You need to cut
Yeah.
them. You need to figure it out.
Yeah.
So how does your I think you've pretty well touched on it. So I was going to ask about leadership, but I think you pretty well wrapped all that up around your leadership, how you deal with the people and the decisions you have to make. So, um, with your company providing the services you do and scaling them and having, those recurring accounts, there's not a real thought that I have in my head right here that's coming out. That was just a bunch of words where I tried to ask a question.
A lot of words are good. Say big words that make you sound smart.
I started to have an idea of a question. I wanted to go down the leadership road, but then in my head I was
Yeah.
like, no, he's pretty well, I think, right, pretty well covered the leadership.
Yeah.
So I was
I
like,
mean, I mean, if I could add anything to it, I mean, we talked about vision, but you have to communicate the vision to the team, right? Like, I want to know where they want to go. I need them to know where I want to go.
yeah,
We got to know where this boat's going, right? And then, we talk about those KPIs and metrics. It's helping them understand how that ties into the big picture,
yeah,
right? Like, look, if you're constantly like in our business, on like say the help desk, if you're constantly not closing your, we'll call it your quota of tickets. Like get paid. Some weeks happen, it's fine,
yeah.
right? Like
But
I'm
you have like a
expecting,
number and a time
but it's like
expectation, right?
okay, well, and your time to resolution's high,
Yeah,
and your customer service score is probably going to be low unless you're just really charming the socks off people
yeah,
or not getting surveys, which is an indicator too.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
some people, like everyone's quick to say something bad, but not always.
yeah,
It's like those things like, how does this pull into the big picture? Well, look, if you're the faster and more efficient you are in tickets and getting them done the right time and closing more and faster,
yeah,
we're delivering this more faster, efficient service. The clients are happier when they're getting their problems resolved quicker,
yeah.
which means they're not going to want to leave. They're going to be happy. They're going to say good things. They might even refer us. And if they don't leave, and then if they refer us, like the business just grows,
Right.
right? And so you got to tie it all together. How does this play in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it makes sense. It's all marketing, right? Like
Yeah.
even doing good customer service and then having following about it is marketing. That's a piece of marketing that I don't think a lot of people really correlate. Is like everything you do is essentially marketing in the sense that it's how you're being perceived by people.
Hmm.
How are they being treated? Do they want to refer to you? Do they not? That's still marketing, right?
Oh yeah.
All these other things, emails and stuff like that, those are campaigns, those are advertisements, but the all encompassing treating of the customers, systems, and now not to say that every system inside the company is marketing, but they all fuel your perception with your clients and the outside world, which is your marketing. So, um, yeah, you've done killer, man. I thank you for the opportunities you've given me through the work that you've done. Like the cool part about what you've accomplished and where it's taken you is you're somebody that's willing to share those ideas. Like we have lunch regularly and we have open conversations about problems, issues, opportunities, and I really appreciate that. And the networks that you've plugged me into, I've tried to leverage them the best I can without being a taker, just as a giver, and I think it's working out. So thank you for that. But it's really amazing what you've done with your company and appreciate that you've kind of taken me along on that ride, like all the way back to bringing me into this BNI group versus the other BNI group. But with all that being said, I do want to kind of leave one, if there was just one thing, it's a tough question, but I feel like you'll have a good answer. there's just one thing you could tell an entrepreneur to help them in their business mentally, like it doesn't have to be like buy stock or whatever, right? But just one thing you would tell them, what would it be?
I would say, look, it's not gonna be easy. You got to have a stomach and an appetite for highs and lows, right?
Boy.
It is not, it gets lonely, right? That's where you have to have that. The number one thing is just a clear vision. What do you want? What are you doing this for?
And what do you want to sacrifice for it, right?
Right. Because if you don't know what you're doing it for, I don't know how you succeed. I really don't. Because it
Yeah.
just drives. Because you have to have that on the days that are low. And there's a lot of low days.
It's
And you have to be ready for it.
yeah.
And the highs, they fleet. And like I could have an awesome sale and I'm ecstatic, but it goes away real fast. But if something bad happens, I don't I should
You lose
feel it.
sleep
I
over it.
feel it a
Yeah.
lot more. Yeah, loose. Yeah. I mean, it's so you got to have some thick skin. You got to be willing to stick it out. It's definitely not for everybody, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
But like you got to be like there's people out there you just got to say, you know what, this isn't for me,
It's
right?
stressful. Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Absolutely.
But if you can deal with some stress, it's probably the most stress you'll ever get.
But the wins are definitely big highs,
But
big lows. So like,
it is
if
right.
you want to
Like
ride
it's
the
the
roller
whole
coaster,
no risk for no reward, right?
yeah.
Like the rewards can be so huge, but you got to be willing to persevere, push through. And I think, again, it's that vision. You got to know what you're getting up for every day.
Why are you dealing with it?
Yeah.
It's the the roller coaster is wild. I think it was in the last episode I was talking about. Like literally, I'm going to Dan's office and we got a great contract. Everybody's fired up. I'm like, dude, hire that guy, hire that guy. We're good. Walk to my desk, sit down, pull up an email, walk back to Dan. Somebody else just bailed. Don't hire that guy. Don't hire that guy.
Yeah.
We're right where we were
Right.
30 minutes ago. Like
Yeah.
literally in a 5-minute span, it's like straight up, straight down. And then the good part is I sit down, I'm like fuming and I go, look, okay. It's just part of it.
That is.
Some are going to come, some are going to go. Don't write a mad email. Don't fume about it. Just how do you adjust and how do you move forward? So,
well, I mean, I know we're wrapping up here. I mean, that summarizes it. And then you say a key thing, like, don't write a mad email. Like, I can't tell you, there's been so many emails I've regretted. There's been conversations I've regretted.
Yeah.
And that's been one thing that I'm constantly working is like the emotional EQ, right? Like and like I mentioned, like this is my baby, this is my identity. It's like it's a reflection of me. So it's hard to separate that emotion.
Yeah.
And I've had to figure that out. It's always a work in progress. But yeah, it is. It goes.
I used to be so bad, dude. I used to just send those emails right out.
Yep. Yep. Same.
But and then just the other thing that you just said there that I think's kind of crazy when you think about it. As an entrepreneur, like when I'm out in the community, it's ACO Web that I'm out in the community as. Like it's literally becomes our identity, right? And our existence, right? So it's something that you're invested in on a level that's wild. I mean, you don't sleep over it. You get excited over it.
Yeah.
But you're fully invested. So you're right. It's not for everybody, but it's amazing and scary.
It is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, if you think you got to take a chance, right? You can't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
If you fail, have a fallback plan. There's something else.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough. I didn't have to, I've had little failures along the way, but I've never failed hard in this business.
Right. I haven't succeeded at the level I'd like to, but I've been here for 20 years.
Well, I haven't succeeded at the level I wanted to yet either. But you always have to have that thirst for more, right? That's the drive to go forward.
I was at an EO thing yesterday, and the guy's like, I've been in business for, I started 3 years ago and we're only at like 1.5 million. I need to do better and grow. I was like, and then it's my turn to go next. I was like, well, I've been in business for 20 years and I'm trying to hit that million. But it's all relative. That's another one with you that tripped me out. Like there was a time where I was like, dude, Derek's doing 10x my revenue, right? Wild. And then that same day I met somebody else. I was like, dude, that dude's doing 10x Derek's revenue. And so he's looking at like looking at him the way I'm looking at him. And there's a dude doing 10x that guy and that guy up until you get to, and it's like, that doesn't mean you shouldn't. It shows you the opportunity that's available. And also to keep in perspective, like that, I don't know if you've ever seen that cartoon where it's like the guy on the bike really wants the car. The guy in the car really wants the helicopter. The guy in the helicopter, like there's always more, right? So don't let that destroy you and make you feel inferior or whatever it might be, right? But but it also shows you the opportunity, so you can still push for it with the goal.
Yeah, you got to look at that in the right lens. It's real easy to compare and feel like, damn, I suck, right?
Yeah.
Like it is,
I got
right?
there. You know when I got there. You know when I was in that funk for a while.
Yeah,
I was in there. I
yeah,
was like, so I'm not stuck at it. I'm not good at it. And that mindset, looking at it through that lens, caused all of this. Right? It's like
right.
even you were like, dude, it's a mindset. Shift your mindset. Which thank you again.
Yeah.
Like I was like, yeah, that's fair.
You have to have a growth and abundance mindset, not a restrictive, right? And so that's, again, it goes back to that vision. Because if you don't have that vision, then it's real easy to look at something and go, damn, why are they doing so good? I guess I suck. I can't do it.
Right.
Instead of, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you can do it and you're doing it.
Yeah,
Right.
and there's people like and not to detract from them, but like the difference is the process and the implementation more than probably anything. With like a lot of people that I'm meeting through the different groups that we're in, like, wow, I can possibly do this because these people don't. They're all very smart in their own ways. Don't get me wrong, but they're not like I'm not sitting down and going, well, "This guy's a genius on another level. No wonder he's so successful." It's no, they just made the right system. They thought it through. They implemented it. They did it and they worked at it, and that 5% difference of activity turned into millions potentially, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, and you got to also realize too, like you might be looking at like, wow, this person, I can't believe they're doing that. But yet on the other side, there's somebody else looking at you going, wow,
Yeah,
look at Austin, look at Derek,
I
right?
hear
And
that
we're
sometimes.
looking
I'm
up,
like, I don't know who you're talking about. You're looking up at me, like, but you're right.
there's, right?
Yeah,
That's how you got to give yourself credit, man. You're doing good things. Like, I mean,
yeah,
starting this up, being involved in the community, you're focused on, I'm super happy and proud for what you're doing with your
yeah,
company. You really, you found your way out of the rut, right? We talk
yeah,
about the highs and the lows. You found, you got down there,
yeah,
you dug yourself out,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and you found a way, and you did things like talk to the right people, get in the right groups, and that's what people have to do. And so that's it. That should be inspirational to people that listen to this. Like,
Thank you.
we're being vulnerable here and saying, hey, look, it ain't all sunshine and rainbows, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's not, right? And I think it helps hearing people just be honest about these things, right?
yeah.
And now you're in a better place for it, right? I mean, if we go back to that time, you would have never thought we'd be sitting here at this. You built out this amazing room we were talking about. I'm like, I'm in amazement of what you did in here and all of that, and I got envy, right? I'm like, damn, if Austin can do it, can I do
You
this, right?
definitely do it.
Right?
Yeah,
But then, but I, maybe I will one day. I don't know, but kudos to you for doing that and
thanks.
still staying focused on the business and doing what you're doing. So
Yeah, thanks, man.
yeah,
Appreciate that. Well, again, thank you for being on the show. I think that there was some great information. And thank you for all the kind words you just had. I think that was a nice closeout for me. I appreciate that.
hey,
Um,
someone's got to give you the credit, man. You're putting this together,
thank you.
right?
Thank you.
Like, I mean, it's important. This is Inland Empire. This is, maybe there's other things similar, but it's for the community and for someone like yourself to take the time and put this together and connect the people that you are. We need to attribute some credit to
Thank you.
that. And so
If
thank you.
if one or two entrepreneurs watch it and commiserate, learn something, grow from it, it's a win. So
Exactly. Yeah.
thanks, man.
Hopefully somebody learned something from us today.
Hopefully, we'll see a couple knuckleheads out here, but
Yeah.
there's something there. There's something there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.